Well, good evening, all. The screen is a little bit worse for wear because somebody got the time wrong. Was it Tom or was it Dong? I know where my fucking money's going. Anyway, good evening, lads. Liam, really nice to see you on. And Rob, nice to see you too.
Hello, been a while.
How are we all doing?
Very well. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, great. Just what a week. What a week. Do you want to just go through what's happening in our reefing stuff?
World, yes.
Yeah,
I'm a guest short of a full picnic.
we are. And then I think what we'll do is when we get closer to maybe 8:30, we'll do the news early tonight, and then Dong can get more time to talk later on. Dong likes a chat, and we've got loads of questions, so I don't want to mess it all up by bringing in Ronald McDonald, if I'm being totally honest. Anyway, Liam, how's that tank after that gigantic move? It's looking good.
We're doing well. We're doing very well. It's gone through its cycle. I've got coral line starting to grow. So after my little fish mad session, I'm now back on to growing corals and buying corals, frags, and la-di-da-di-da. Bought a bag load off of eBay the other day. And yeah, it should be here next week. All good.
So how are your tests and things all coming back?
Yeah, tests all seem to be absolutely fine. Everything's settled. Got the Trident doing controlled dosing back on again, and we're all nice and level, and it'll slowly go from there, really, once we've got the more corals in.
It's funny how many people are terrified of allowing the Trident to actually dose based off its test. And I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. I'm 2 years in now, and I would never switch it off.
I think from an outside perspective, when you look at it and go, not letting the controller control my tank, but when you set in levels and limits for it to dose a certain amount a day, even if it goes wrong.
As long as you're calibrating, I think that's what I do. You know, I've got all my Hannah eggs and my master tester and stuff. As long as I'm double checking what the Trident's doing, because you see the drift. You always see the drift, and then you just pull it back into line. How often do you calibrate yours?
Every month-ish. Usually when I do a change of reagents, I'll recalibrate. I use the ATI recalibration bottle, and I'll just do it that way, rather than the Hannah eggs and stuff.
So you're actually letting the Trident pull in water from that known source?
Yeah, it's a litre bottle of ATI solution, I think it is.
Isn't it? It's like 15 quid for a litre bottle.
Yeah.
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
It's just a bottle of fucking salty water, isn't it, really?
Actually, exactly.
Yeah, because they stopped giving the calibration bottles with the actual official reagents, didn't they? But I mean, even ABC stopped doing the calibration solutions.
I spoke to someone yesterday who's setting up a Trident, and he said that it did come with a calibration solution still.
This must be a really old, completely out of date set of reagents.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Just what you want.
Was. As somebody who leads the stream,
it comes with a setup. Maybe the initial setup comes with a calibration. I wouldn't have thought they'd be there.
The box of reagents in the box with the Trident. Yeah.
Nope. Second-hand Trident.
Dong has appeared.
Hello.
Oh.
Will we let him in, or will we just leave him out on the doorstep?
Just make him wait.
I don't know. Will we? No, better not. Tom will go completely tense. Dong.
Hello.
So apparently that is that the GMT and the standard time are the same thing or no?
I was told you was a very clever man, Dom.
Oh, actually, my iPhone messed me up. Let me get my microphone on the ear, so it's here much better.
No problem. Will we just remove them? Cheers, Dong. Don't need you tonight. We'll just keep on going. Right?
Yeah, that was good. One of the best guests.
Yeah, just great. It was nice of him to pop in, though. That's our new segment, which is Professional Reefer, 10 seconds. Anyway.
Rob, how's your tank going? Your wave maker, is it?
Yeah, it's very nice, actually. Yeah, it is a beast of a thing.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
You're good.
Let's rock and roll.
So So normally in the green room, I get a chance to warn the guest about how these streams can go. So there can be some naughty words and some dirty humor. And then halfway through, there's a little segment called Reefing News, which you might want to even switch your computer off for. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Dong.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. For some reason that Siri tell me that 20 GMT is 1 hour later.
Our clocks only just changed last weekend, so there's maybe been a wee bit of a confusion there. But I think we should all just blame Tom.
Oh,
Yeah. We'll blame Tom. Yeah.
He has education is subnormal.
We shouldn't even have the daylight saving time, in my opinion.
It's so strange.
Austin, then 3.
Yeah, it really messed me up for the time zone.
Okay.
So is it 3 p.m. there?
Pardon?
Is it 3 p.m.
Yeah, it's 3 p.m. there. But my phone tells me that 20 GMT is 4 p.m. Yeah.
That's really out.
Yeah, you even on I set up a wall clock on my iPhone, and I look at the GMT time, and then right now it's only 7 GMT on the phone.
Let's get Android on.
Here we go. So before we go any further, we just jump into the comments, Dong, and we just say hello to everybody who's joined us tonight. So good evening, Mo. Nice to see you. Good evening, John. Yes, it is good to see Dong on here. It's amazing. I don't know if he'll ever come back, but you know. Good evening, Annie. Hope you're well. Good evening, Terry. Nice to see you. Good evening, Lee.
Hey, Lee.
Nice to see you. Danny Boy. Oh, that might start something. Could start singing. Good evening, Gaz. Thanks for Amanda, steaming yet? What's this? Evening all. Just want to thank you all for the kind wishes and gift you all sent to me and Ian for our wedding. Oh, Tom.
You're very welcome, Tom.
Yeah. Nice. We're very happy for you both. You're a lovely couple. Anyway, good evening, Anthony. Nope, can't bring that one up. That's me. Good evening, Liam. You well?
Hi.
You do.
Hi, Ron. Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Jazz. Hope you're well.
Hello, Jasmine.
She's lovely. I love Jazz.
I do too.
Good evening, Emma. Oh, good evening, John. You feeling nervous about tomorrow? It's John's Tantor tomorrow. 3 p.m. The gauntlet is down. Good evening, Melinda. 5 a.m. bullshit this. So she's from Australia, Dong. So she's putting in a lot of effort to join. Who else we got? Oh, good Jim. He's from Chicago. Good evening, Jim. Tim, nice to see you. Alan, this goes on forever, Dong. If you just want to go take a nap, maybe.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
I was going to say, yeah.
In hindsight, I probably should have done this earlier. Good evening, Alyssa. Nice to see you. She's from Idaho. Wow. Gary Neal. Good evening. Have I missed anyone? No. Dirt Devil's Reef. Good evening. Neil, nice to see you from Hot Guyana. Wow.
Gets around, doesn't he?
Exotic. Good evening, Reefy Reese. Nice to see you. And I think, Garrick, good evening. We might have missed. Tommy B. Good evening, Tommy. Hope you and Sharon are well. From a freezing Rochdale. What are you doing down there? Oh, dear. Good evening, Haley. Roxanne. Good evening, Roxanne. Jamie. Good evening. I assume that's Paul.
Yeah, I guess so.
Handsome Paul. Good evening, handsome Paul. Nice to see you. Bananarama. Good evening. See, I wasn't
Remy.
Yeah, not quite. Not quite. Oh, what's a new name? Taggers. Good evening, Taggers. Good evening, Zach. Pennsylvania, I think he's from. Harry West. Good evening. Oh, And another Harry.
Another
Good evening,
Harry.
Haribo.
Harriet.
Peter. Harry.
Harry.
Good evening, Peter. Nice to see you. Oh, Brandon. Good evening. I think
Oh, well,
it's
that's
reading
Brandon.
as well. Good evening, Tony. Oh, this is going on forever. I think we're about there. If I've missed you, we might come back to you. So, Dong. Oh,
Yeah.
I've left the comment up. Sorry. How'd I get rid of that? I've got to now scroll back up and try and find it. Got it. Boom.
I got
We're
it.
done. So, if everyone can hit that like button, please, before we go any further, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Because if you don't, Dong might come and shut down your chimney. Totally your call. So, Dong.
Yeah.
Would you like to start with some of the videos you sent us?
Sure. I think you have the video, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to put this up.
All right.
And you can talk us through. Whoa.
That is this tank at the back. So this tank actually is my play tank. So normally, well, the coral, actually all the coral colonies are for sale. So frequently that the coral will be replaced by the other small colony from my frag tanks very frequently. So I think that it got updated probably about several weeks ago again. So I also do a lot of experiment in this tank to look at the coral health and the color, experiment lighting on it, experimenting dosing on it. So that's my play tank.
It's a very nice play
That's
tank.
good.
And to be honest, I might steal that saying. I need a play tank, Bernadette. Thank you. There's some really nice pieces in there and quite a nice size as well.
Oh yeah, actually, I have a lot of backups for this kind of coral. So I have slightly smaller colonies in other tank. If somebody want to pay for the whole colony, great. So they would take the whole colony and get a giant hole in the middle, and then I'm going to fill it up with different color. Also, that is a tank that for me to experiment on aquascaping, like the color contrast to make coral pops more. Well, it's not by photoshopping because I really cannot photoshop a tank. So to get good color contrast is by placing beautiful, colorful coral against each other. There's a color wheel that you can normally find out what color contrast to each other so that it actually more eye-catching. So that is another purpose for this tank. Yeah, it looks pretty good, actually, in my opinion. I'm very satisfied with this thing.
It's interesting you're saying there about the colors, because if you actually do watch the video, I see exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so that the
contrasting
green
colors together.
Yeah. And that's the dory that I have for a while. I have many dories, and the oldest one lived for 17 years. And when he got to me, he's already 4 or 5 years old. And I always have hippo tank in every tank. So unfortunately, my oldest hippo tank passed away after he was with me for 17 years, and he died at the Christmas Eve. Several years ago. Yeah. He's big, fat, gigantic thing, and then he eats really well. But over the year, I can see that he become more sluggish, but he still eat like a pig. But then one day, and then I see him just sitting there. The next morning, that's Christmas Eve, and he just wedged himself on the coral and passed away. But he lived a good life.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
yeah,
That's
I
a
immediately grab
shame.
a small one, replace him.
That's about
do you
where I
find
am,
the-
Don. I'm just at that stage where I'm fat and I'm lazy. I've just hit that. I'm at a later Dory stage in life at the moment. So that's your preferred tang, is it? In your coral trays, a hippo tang? Is that what you go for? Any particular reason?
Oh, why I like the hippo tang in every single tang I have?
Yeah.
Because the blue color. Actually, the hippo tang is the blue color is
I wasn't
one
expecting
of
that.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons to get into the saltwater hobby, because that I have been keeping goldfish since I'm maybe in the 10, 12 years old, something like that. I always have goldfish, and then I moved to discus just to get a more colorful fish. But then when the Finding Nemo comes out, and then I look at all the saltwater fish, the blue color, the dory is the one that is really eye-catching. So in order to keep a bright blue color fish, which are not available in the freshwater world, so I decided to get into the saltwater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a very striking blue, though. I mean, that's one of the fish that got me into this as well. That and a diamond goby, just absolutely captivated me. But yeah, it's a special blue color that fish has. It's quite incredible. Love it.
Yeah.
When I just got into the hobby, and I have an interesting story to tell. And because my daughter won a Nemo, all the kids won a Nemo. So we went to Petco. That is one of the pet store, chain pet store. And we walk in the Petco, and there's 2 clownfish there. One is really big, one is pretty small. They swim together. And I asked the manager, I said, how much is the big one? The guy said, $9.99. I asked, how much is the small one? The guy said, well, $9.99. Then I said, well, I take the big one. And I asked him, where do you get these 2 fish from? Oh, the guy said, somebody just dropped them off, and I'm selling them right now. I said, sure, same price. I take the big guy. Later on, I realized that actually it's a pair. I just broke them up.
Yeah. It's you called a divorce, your first day of fish keeping.
So how long did you put that fish through that terrible turmoil of being on its own, Dong?
Oh, before I killed him using by a sandstorm. So, well, back then, that's a 2004.
That's a lovely story.
Oh, yeah. Back in 2004, and everything is so new. I remember that in order to get a piece of light rock, at that time, the light rock is very expensive. Of course, now it's very expensive. At that time, there's some guy on the local hobby club, and he posts saying that $8 a pound for light rock. I said, oh, hold me a piece, please. So I will drive over there for an hour to that guy's place to pick up that piece of light rock. And the light rock is no bigger than something like that, okay? And there on that piece of light rock, there is a very interesting critter on it. It's a little anemone-looking thing. It's brown with tentacle twinkling around. Oh, I said, oh my God, this is a coral. Oh, it's so precious. So I keep a close eye on him, so make sure he didn't die. And then I found out that this little bugger actually moved around on the rock. At that time, right now I know that what it is Aptasia. But at that time, oh my God, this is my first coral. So then I keep looking at it, and of course, at that time that I knew very little about fish keeping, and that Aptasia actually died. I said, oh my God, I lost my first piece of coral, which is the Aptasia. But and then there's remember back then all the power has they have the suction cup. Is right now that magnetic mount is so common. Yep. Back then it's suction cup. So I follow all the recipe and get a deep sand bed, have that piece of light rock on the sand bed with that single stalk of Aptasia on it, and with that heartbroken Nemo swimming along. And then the suction cup didn't hold. What happened is that I woke up one morning, that power head was dropped to the sand bed, and the whole tank is milky white. And then I found that heartbroken Nemo actually heartbroken back then. So,
just broken.
Yeah,
nice
so I killed my first clownfish, and I killed my first coral, that Aptasia. Yeah, that's how it started. And a 20-gallon tank.
Wow.
And then at that time is go ahead.
No, we've got more videos, but we've also got questions. Let's split it all up. So we've got a question here from Sam Parker from Australia.
Oh.
Reef, a small YouTube channel down in Australia. My question for you is, what has been the biggest light bulb moment for you using your experience in the pharmaceutical world that translated across into the marine hobby?
Okay. So, that is a fantastic question. So let me answer this one. In a pharmaceutical company, when we do drug discovery, if you look at a disease, then we think about, we try to find a mechanism about that disease. And so we set up a small experiment and try to mimic the problem. And that's normally we call it an enzyme assay. So we basically testing a drug in enzyme in petri dish. And then after using the petri dish to the testing this, testing that, we move it to the cell, the whole cell assay. That means that the environment become more complex. Then we find out that all most of the data we got from the first assay is total garbage. It doesn't translate. And then we use the cell assay and then to do a lot of experiment following this model, this testing, that testing, then pick some compound and go to the animal model. That means that the compound now go to a more complex system. It's like a rat or a mouse, that kind of thing. Then we find out that most of these cell assay are garbage, totally not translatable. And then the next step is that after this rat animal assay, and then we go to the primate, whatever, the more complex system, then we find out the previous data are garbage. So it doesn't translate. Until the drug discovery all the way go to clinic, go to human, we find out, oh my God, nothing worked like the what we predict. It's totally different when we go to the more complex system. So for keeping reef tank is that we're testing nitrate, phosphate, ICP testing, all the trace element. Does all this testing actually represent what's in there? Hell no. Yeah. So in the end of the day, all these testing are basically just models. So we have a saying in pharmaceutical saying that all the models tells you something, but all of them are wrong. When we look at a complex ecosystem, all this testing I highly question about how we really should interpret all this testing result we have, and how much value we have by looking at all these ICP tests, looking at this, nitrate, refill ratio, by the way, that's totally bullshit. So then, by the end of the day, the one thing very similar in drug discovery versus reef keeping, we experiment directly on here and do water change, just like you do a blood transfusion. Actually, basically that all these testings through along the way, according to this theory, that method, it may not actually translate into a whole ecosystem. That is what I learned most from the pharmaceutical background to the reef keeping. Of course, another thing that I benefit from is I get used to reading a lot of literature. I do not go on reef to reef or reef form to look at somebody's light bulb moment. I pick up the scientific literature to look at it to see if there's anything that what I'm doing has any basis, any rationale that I can find in the scientific literature. That is really that peer review. That's more solid science than somebody on reef to reef said, hey, the manganese is really important for Garnipora. Show me the evidence. Yeah, because somebody say so. Well.
So we've got another question here that was sent in. Mm-hmm. What specific techniques or innovations have you developed at Acro Garden that set your coral farming apart from others in the industry?
That's a very good question. So when I founded one of the when I co-founded one of the drug discovery company, I was trying to use the chemical that inside the coral to do drug discovery. So as always that, but we cannot go to the ocean to knock off coral to extract the compound. So that's the whole idea is based on aquaculture, to grow the coral and extract the compound and then do chemistry on it. So how to have this coral growing as fast as possible, and that become a key reason there. Yeah, I have some proprietary techniques to let them grow faster, but then right now, I'm not employing them anymore because right now I'm only growing them for hobby use, for hobbyists. That is a big difference there because that if I use some special technique to grow this coral, like them in a petri dish, that means that when this coral go to the hobbyist home and they no longer have those kind of support for their metabolism, for the environment, so they basically will live in an entirely different thing, different environment, so they may not do that well. So right now, I'm doing the extremely basic approach. Basically, all this coral, I want them to be as robust as possible. That's actually, I'm doing the negative method. That means I do not use any particular method. I want this thing to be as common as possible. And it turns out by doing that, I actually creating the hardest coral. The coral are more robust than competitors. Because that one important thing, how many people use tap water in their tank? You will see that, oh my God, tap water. This is all tap water. If this coral can thriving in tap water, there's no problem to thrive in your RODI and Tropic Pro kind of environment. So that is. Are
you on a well or are you on a
no
supply
tap
like
water
municipal?
city?
I think he's sitting on a seat, actually, Rob.
This is on my list of questions. Yeah.
Right.
Go on, Liam.
Go on.
So with you, I listened to you on Frag Garage the other day saying about the tap water and you using that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just using it to remove chlorine and stuff like that, or
yes,
are you just chucking it in? Okay.
Actually, I do use vitamin C to remove the chlorine because we do not have chloramine. The city is doing very well because we are in an area that many towns here actually have our own water processing plant for some bizarre reason. So then the water in our town actually is quite good. And also they do not use chloramine, they use chlorine and ozone and UV to sanitize the water. So all I need to do is just remove the chlorine. I use vitamin C, which actually I found out that is not very well known in the hobbyist community about vitamin C to remove chlorine and chloramine. It's actually very standard practice industrial-wise to remove chlorine and chloramine from tap water. So all I do is just use vitamin C and treat the tap water and then pour in the salt, let them mix and pour it in and do the water change. So if any excess vitamin C in that bucket of water will become a nutrition in the tank. So
do you do any like ICP testing on your tap water? If
no,
you were,
I don't.
Is there anything you'd look for?
The town actually has reports on their the content of the water content. So for matter of fact, if the water is suitable for human drinking, if you can drink from your tap, most likely it's okay. So in our town water, we know that we have a little bit elevated iron and manganese. That is from the natural source, from the deep water well. Yes, so they have to actually actively remove the excess iron and manganese from the water. The rest of them look perfectly fine because in US that every time we have this tap water information available to everybody. That's the law. So so far so good for 20 years.
And how much vitamin C are you using to sterilize your water or dechlorinate your water?
1 can of Fanta per liter.
Yes.
It's around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that in terms of the usage of vitamin C,
yeah,
is okay. So I as a chemist, as organic chemist, you know what organic chemists do? Organic chemists just toss things in.
Just fucking in, yeah.
Yeah, love it.
And I remember that when I do my postdoc, and there's one the professor said, yeah, the compound you want either inside the flask or outside the flask. That's it. Just chuck it in. So I take this vitamin C pill, the powders, So I pull open the pill, the capsule, and they just dust them in. That's it. Okay. So yeah, approximately is about 5 gallon is approximately 20 liters of water. I use about approximately about 20 to 30 milligram. And actually, that's more than enough to do the dechlorinated.
Okay. Is it just the chlorine that we would be looking out for as a harmful substance, or is there anything else potentially?
Actually, it is a heavy metal. But that is one important thing. Is heavy metal like copper and chromium or anything else. But those all show up on your tank report. For matter of fact, the tank's water test, I would trust that water test over any consumer grade ICP test.
Okay.
The reason is, as a chemist, I can tell you that just based on my experience, if you really want to do an ICP test to get the accurate data of your water quality, and you're looking at about $800 to $1,200 US per sample. There is no way you can get the better data than what the tank can get you on the tap water by doing your $50 US ICP test. There's absolutely no way to do that. I don't know how they do it. Well, but they do it. They Sanjay wrote a big article on Rebuilder about ICP tests. I don't want to go over there, but ICP tests can be a useful guideline, but don't too drill down on those consumer grade ICP tests. So the way I look at it is that, yes or no answer. So either it's 1 ppm or a 0.001 ppb, or those data, take it as a grain of salt. I just look at it as a yes or no answer on a consumer grade ICP test. So that's
do you know what the mechanism is for that vitamin C then with the chlorine? What's it doing? Is it binding to it? Is it breaking it up? Do you know what it actually does?
Pardon? Sorry.
The vitamin C. What does it do?
Vitamin C. So you act with chlorine instantaneously. It's a chemical reaction to neutralize it. So it's not a binding. It's a chemical reaction happening.
Okay.
To remove it. Yeah.
Okay. Nice and simple.
Yep. And also you can remove chloramine, but you just need to add a little bit more. So it's just pure chemical reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just going back to what you were saying at the very start of this conversation. You were talking about not keeping your corals in a very, very tight set of parameters in a controlled environment to try and keep them as hardy as possible. That's something that when I started my very, very small farm, I kept things way too tight, way too tight, and I was obsessed with it. And nearly every batch of corals I sent out right in the very early day, I would have a less than 50% survival rate based on the fact that these corals just couldn't handle not being in my specific tank. So it's really interesting to hear that you're aiming for hardiness as opposed to beautiful colors.
That's a classic thing, isn't it? When they're young, it's really tight, and then as you get older, you loosened up.
So back over 10 years ago, actually, I got that idea from one of the literature publication. So on that publication, it says if you give the coral 3 to 5 Fahrenheit, maybe like 3 Celsius or something like that, day and night temperature swing, the coral actually will develop better immune system.
Yeah, this is why I've been such a fan of yours, is because you're taking things in a completely different direction. You watch these other videos on YouTube and everyone tells you, no, you have to be at 8.4 DKH and a pH of it's
not nature, is it?
If your corals aren't leaving your tank, that's fine. But from a coral farm perspective, it's completely different.
Yes, entirely different. And sometimes so different that it's shockingly different. Okay. Let me tell you how different it is. I also dip all the coral. I dip them before they go. So let me tell you a story about how actually things being done so differently. Back so many years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago, there's a guy buying coral from me frequently. And then one day he asked me, he has a problem. his problem is that some of the coral, after he dipped the coral, they die. It's just after 15 or 20 minutes. I said, wow, that's highly unusual. So he came over to see how I dip the coral. I said, okay, now I grab a cup, go get some tank water. He said, hold it right there. I said, huh, why? Then he asked, you're using your tank water mixed with chemical to dip your coral. I said, yeah, what do you use? He said, he had been using RODI to dip his coral.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that would do it.
Definitely killed the pest.
Yeah, definitely kill the pest and the host simultaneously. So that what made me realize that this is just one extreme example. It's just for the dipping alone. So salinity is also another big question, because I actually asked my customers to see what their salinity actually is. And sometimes I ask them to please bring a sample for my benefit. I want to see your salinity. And what I gathered the information is quite funny, is that despite everybody was trying to keep the salinity between 1.024 to 1.026, this range, the actual salinity can be as low as 1.020 gravity, and sometimes at 1.035. That is because they have this refractometer miscalibrated. And I don't know what happened in Europe, but in US, back 20 years ago, this little piece of instrument cost quite a bit, like 100 US dollars. They're very precisely made, and they're very heavy, very nice. And they always come with an instruction saying that, oh, calibrate this piece of junk, sorry, this piece of zinc using RODI. Yeah, back then, yes, you can do that by calibrating your piece of junk, which you spend $100 for it using RODI, because they have a glass prism inside and the scale on it are precisely marked. That's why it costs over 100 US dollars. But these days you can go on Amazon to buy the same piece of crap for $20. And some of them doesn't even have a glass prism inside. They have a piece of plastic. And also the scale on the prism are poorly marked. And they still come with a little piece of paper telling you to calibrate this piece of zinc with RODI.
You can say piece of shit, Dong. We're okay with that.
That's fine. Yeah. Then what happens is that when you calibrate your piece of garbage using RODI at the bottom of the scale, and when you try to measure in the middle of the scale, the error is so big that just for the refractometer alone, causing so many variation of salinity. So for example, if you drop a coral from 1.025, go to 1.020, yeah, the coral is not going to be very happy. So that is another thing, is that make the coral more robust, so it has a little bit more fighting chance when they go into another hellhole.
So do you use that one as a paperweight, Dong?
Oh, actually, guess what? You almost go into the paperweight until I find something to save this guy. Give me a moment.
Because it does look like something else. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing.
Yes.
Which is made by one of your neighbor in Germany. It's a tropic marine big
hydrometer. Yeah.
Hydrometer. Yeah. I use this thing to calibrate that. And well, tropic marines still make some good old stuff. If they're old enough, they still make some good old stuff. So this is the only hydrometer I can find that is calibrated at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So if I buy a piece of something, hydrometer from Amazon, paying the same price, if it tells you their hydrometer actually calibrate at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, because they're using them to measuring the seawater for the ship or something like that. So this is actually one piece of beautiful instrument very unique. So I use this to calibrate this piece of crap, and also that I also use a refractometer calibration fluid to double check.
It's the
do you
only
think of
instrument I use that I trust. It's the only one I use as
the
a
hydrometer.
fallback one.
The hydrometer, right?
Yeah, they use the same. Yeah, they're good.
Sorry, Liam, on you go.
Unless you drop
I was
them.
going to say, what do you think of the digital refractometers like the Milwaukee or Hanna?
Okay, so
And
for
you're
matter of
allowed
fact,
to
I
swear
have
on there,
that.
Don.
I have everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a big giant piece of
Shit.
waste.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but the thing is that if you do not know how to treat it, okay, so I have quite a bit of nightmare with this guy. But then until I talked to Hannah, they actually helped me out. It turns out this piece of thing has a 2 carbon electrode here.
Yep.
And if you use this thing, this meter frequently, you'll be some kind of deposit on the carbon electrode, which is throw everything off. So what I was told is get a piece of cardboard and then to send this electrode there down. And you send it down, wash it, and then recalibrate it, and you squeeze for another month. So this is not too bad after I found out how it works. So
I don't mind them.
I've got 2 of them, and they are consistently wrong, but they're therefore I can use them. So I calibrate with my tropic marine hydrometer.
It's precise, not accurate. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So it's 1.022 on the Hanna pen is spot on 1.025 on the tropic marine hydrometer. So I use them all the time. They just don't give me the right number, but I know what it means.
Yep, that works.
Yeah, they're very handy.
They are the
this
handiest
is really
ever.
a beautiful piece of instrument. No calibration
They're nice.
needed.
They're just not very user friendly at times, are they? The big hydrometers.
Actually, I think it's pretty good because the plastic shelf that come with it, it's a water container, so you just directly drop into it. So
you fill that up with water.
You use the sleeve.
Yeah, actually, the sleeve is designed to do that. That's how they designed to do.
How dumb do we feel right now?
To be.
never occurred to me.
I spent 50 quid on a great big glass cylinder.
I thought it was too tight. Going back to that original.
Yeah.
It felt tight.
Oh, you're a bit
Actually,
older.
On the instruction, they say that use the sleeve.
Did I?
Yeah.
You actually read the instructions.
Didn't read the instructions.
Yeah, they probably have a different. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Harry is gutted. He says he loves his Hanna pen. Well, as long as you know it is a piece of garbage, but it's consistently a piece of garbage, you can use it. Seriously, you can use it just as long as you know what your
if you can verify it with something that's good.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Very.
Yep.
Very.
And remember to calibrate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here we've got some more questions that were sent in, but I think we'll go with another video. Let's break it up a bit. So here we go.
Yeah, that's a Tyrese.
I thought you were going to say I don't recognise that tank.
I was about to say that's not my tank. Tom's done me. Yes. Is this another play? Is this another play tank, Dong?
Oh no, that's the same tank on the other side.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's that purple and orange. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a see-through tank. So that basically like a divider. I can see them on both sides. And that pink bird's nest is one of my oldest coral. I have him, well, maybe like 20 years, something like that.
Is that with the spiky tips? That one just there?
Yeah, that one there, yeah.
Yeah, the pink bird's nest. Actually, it's pretty hard to find these days.
Do you run more of a white spectrum on that? Yeah.
Pardon?
I was just saying, do you run more of a white spectrum on that tank with the pink bird's nest?
The spectrum is similar to the AB plus spectrum, but I don't want to call it AB plus because it totally doesn't make any sense. It's basically heavily, little bit heavier on blue, but it's still quite warm looking tank. So if you see that in person, the tank actually looks quite warm looking. More, it's not very blue at all. But because that, I think that digital camera tend to pick up the blue and more intense. So that's why it show up more blue on the screen. But in person, actually pretty white. It's similar to Radium 20K metal halide, which was my favorite bow. Is the Radium 20K metal halide. I used to have all Radium 20K metal halide in this room. And the end result is, in a dead winter, the room was 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. I was sweating. And outside was icy. And then inside was 95 degrees. I have to crack open the window and get the air in, that kind of thing. So what made me to switch out of the metal halide is one incident. Actually, I should say two. One of the first incident is that I was sitting there, I hear a pop, and then the metal halide ballast started to smoke. Okay, if I was not there, that's not gonna be happy. Another incident is that I have the 20K radium single end bolt, so I do not use a glass shield underneath it because the single end bolt, I'm not supposed to use it or I don't need to use it. And one time I have a piece of paper flying in the air and touch the bolt. That piece of paper ignite instantaneously. So that's a sign. That's a sign. Say, okay, now it's time to move on.
Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah. So then but I still run a lot of T5 because I still believe in well, actually, the T5 does definitely grow coral a lot better than LED, just in my own opinion. All the T5 use is the ATI T5. That's my favorite. Probably that's the only thing that is still on sale these days. So half of the farm is under T5, and then the other half is under Rip Breeders LED. And sometimes I do have some AI Hydra sitting there, just to demonstrate to people that their color sucks.
Love it.
Yeah.
Why you got any lights? I want to show you how shit they are.
Pop over to the shit corner, go and have a look.
Yeah. So
brilliant.
Yeah, because I'm a rebreather dealer, so I sell all sorts of lighting. But I think that the rebreathers lights actually, in terms of spectrum and the design, I think it's really good. My favorite, despite I sell all brands of light, but not very actively these days. So people would come in. Actually, let me give you one example. A guy come in, and he won a Hydra 32 because he watched so many videos about how wonderful the lights online. Okay, well, it's a good light. I'm not saying it's not bad light. It's a good light. So he grabbed the light, brand new, and before he walked out of the door, he turned over and looked at my tank. He said, "What kind of light is that?" I said, "Oh, that's a rebreather." And then he looked at this tank and looked at my AI tank. He said, "I'm sorry, actually, can I just return this AI and get a rebreather?" So that was the last new AI light I almost sold. And ever since I have this comparison setting up, I cannot sell any AI light. Everybody looking at it, okay, this look better. How much? Oh, it costs less. Well, they go out, they walk away with the rebreather light.
So it's just how the tank looks underneath the lights that you're saying is the reason why the AI Hydra is just not your cup of tea.
That's only one of them. The other cup of tea is about LED technology. So LED is all about removing the heat. The longevity of it is removing the heat. So, but with that said, I think the AI has a very elegant software, and the design is very pretty. And I have been using AI for years before I switched to mostly rebreather. So what happened to AI is that they still have the old form factor that track back to 10 years ago. Of course, right now AI has the new Edge 44, the new breeds of light. I'm talking about the Hydra 32, 64, Prime, 52, that generation. I haven't tested the new Hydra Edge 44 yet. So what happened is that when you have smaller heatsink, you have a same footprint of a heatsink as 10 years ago, but your power increased dramatically using the same heatsink. What happened is that the LED chips are not getting proper ventilation, cooling. There is one known issue about AI light, is about the lens get burned out. I have been replacing people's AI lens. I have AI, the little plastic lens in stock, and so I just keep replacing other people's. So I've seen so many of them. Prime 16, Hydra 32, Hydra 64 with the lens, the LED lens, all melted through.
It's brown, yeah.
Yeah, not only brown. So several days ago, I took in a pair of Hydra 32. The people bring them over. I look at them. Basically, the lens is not brown, completely burned through.
Yeah, the hole,
big
dripping the tank.
holes on it. Yeah. So the heat removal is the critical part of the longevity of a LED light. So when you compare to heat sink of 32 and size of that, for the same power, the rebreather has probably 4 times of the surface area for the aluminum body served as a heat sink. So even the fan on the rebreather does not turn on all the time because there's adequate cooling. That's one thing that I like about them is the longevity of the light. I still have one of the rebreather photon light that I purchased at 2018. It's still running today. I tested with my par meter. There's no significant degradation of the par since 2018 till now. So that's another reason I like the rebreather is they used 48-volt power supply. So basically, let's say the wattage of LED chips is basically the voltage times the current. The current is proportional, how much current, how much amp goes through the chips is proportional to how much heat it generates. So if you are using a higher voltage of power supply to achieve the same voltage, same wattage on the LED chips, less current actually going through it. So you generate less heat. So that's a 2 important thing. One thing is the 48-volt power supply. So the LED running cooler, and you have a gigantic heat sink on top. That is why they last so long. So that is the another important thing besides color. So as a coral farm, you know that reliability of equipment is most important thing. So I don't want to spend my time to fixing this or fixing that. I want something that put on there and running for years without touching it.
Yeah, I've got 3 Hydra 52 HDs above our big shop system, and all 3 of the lights, I would say 50% of the diodes on each light are all black.
Yes,
they're all done.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about 8 years old now. They've done well, but the spectrum coming out the light is nothing like it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Yeah,
and also the par level
design.
also dropped quite a bit over the year.
Yeah,
I wonder if they've improved on the new ones then.
Maybe.
Pardon?
I wonder if they've improved it on the newer ones then, because it's pretty bad.
I don't know. Because the Edge 44, that's the latest Hydra LED that come out. That looks pretty interesting, but I haven't get a chance to get one to test it yet. So because I used to be heavily into the lighting technology, but right now I'm more focused on this living little animal in my tank. So my time is for limited amount of time, I will spend my time taking care of this thing, the animals, instead of focus on the lighting, because I think basically most of the lighting are very similar. So the LED technology is pretty mature. With that said, actually we're looking into a very interesting thing about LED technology when we compare to the horticulture, the people who grow this medical plant. So,
Yes.
yeah, and if you look back 10 years ago, and the people who grow medical plants or tomatoes using the panel style LED. They're all the LED chip, the panel style, they're not puck, they're nothing like Castle or something like that, like a dot. They're all big panels.
Flat
LED.
panels. Yeah.
10 years later, right now, they're still using the panel. And if you look at our LED, the Radiant, okay, we start out actually when not just Radiant, when AI come out, the AI, what's the first AI?
The Sol.
Oh yeah, AI Sol. So it's more like a panel style, right? LED populating the whole bottom of the thing. And then in our hobby, and LED become castle, a puck, for quite a while. And then we finally realized that that is really not the best way to using LED on coral because the shadowing effect. And right now, look at the Radiant. The Radiant from puck become panel again. So basically, we get a big circle around, and we finally find out, yeah, all this innovation, questionable. So, and on the medical plan side, because the yield for those medical plans is directly linked to their profit. Okay, I think those people are very smart, and then the LED stayed exactly the same for the past 10 years, all panel style.
I think this hobby is
yeah.
really incredible for the amount of times it comes in cycles.
Yeah.
Dosing techniques, lighting techniques,
Yeah.
all of these things, they just keep coming round and round and round.
And let's talk about Cutwasser. Well, I remember when I started my hobby, I used Cutwasser, and then people forget about it. And right now, everybody was coming back. Oh, Cutwasser. Okay. Yeah, everything is going around. There's another thing that going around I see is very interesting, is the sea swirl. A sea swirl in US is basically is the little motor mount on the side of the tank and rotating your power head over there. Back 10, 20 years ago, it was very popular. And then it disappeared. And right now, another company is making the same thing. I think also from UK or something.
Yeah, we've got someone in the UK making them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is coming back. So everything is just like going through a circle. But the circle has a good meaning about it because we finally find out after all this trial and error what actually works. That's why this thing circle back. That's how I look at it. It's a good thing.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep up with all these comments.
Okay.
That's absolutely crazy. So we've got another question here that was sent in by one of our viewers, Tim. He's a very good reefer. He says, my ICP test says low copper levels. What's your thoughts on people adding copper to the reef systems? Mine is an SPS only system.
Okay. Excellent question. So in our hobby, when we talk about copper, we say, oh my God, copper. So it's like some kind of poison. But for matter of fact, copper is a very critical metal in the seawater. Why it's so critical is that if you ever grab a lobster either is a Boston lobster, which we have a lot here, or Australian lobster. You grab the poor thing and grab a knife and stab on it. And what what come out of the lobster, little bit greenish, clear liquid. That is the lobster's blood. And if you, unfortunately, when you stab the lobster, you stab yourself, and you will also have interesting liquid come out of you. And that is red. So both are blood, but why one is red and one is slightly bluish clear is because for human or as well as cats and dogs, and our blood actually complex to iron. So with this complex and the blood look red. So that means that lacking iron will give you, well, yeah. And that's what's so important for iron for human, right? You have to take the iron pill sometimes. That same thing happened to that lobster, is that the copper is so important to the lobster because the copper is acting exactly the same fashion of iron to human's blood. The marine invertebrates' blood actually complex to copper instead of iron. That is why the blood is a little bit bluish tint on it. But now here's the thing. Since copper is so hard to come by in the ocean, there's so small level there. And marine invertebrate, throughout the evolution, they develop a way to take in copper as much as possible. There's no stopping mechanism for them to take in because they're not necessary for them to do that because there's not enough copper for them to grab to begin with. So if they see copper, they will take in, like you go to the all-you-can-eat buffet. So then when you eat too much in the buffet, and then you just fell down on the ground and carried to the hospital. So that is how copper treat your parasite. Is the parasite look at the copper buffet? Oh my God, let's go on it. And ate too much. There's no stopping mechanism. There's no wife or kid saying that, hey, stop eating that. You're going to blow up. No, that guy said, copper, and then he just died. That is
copper buffet. Copper buffet. I'm just seeing a whole lot of policemen at a buffet or a carvery. Brilliant.
So that is how important copper to marine invertebrate. That is why actually copper present in your salt mix in a small amount.
So horseshoe crab blood must be really high in copper.
Oh, actually, it's not about the concentration. They have copper in their blood because marine invertebrate use the copper as a complex, as a nucleus to have that the enzyme complex to it. So the horseshoe crab have other fascinating
That's the vaccines, you mean?
For medical research.
Yeah, I've seen them harvesting them. It's crazy.
Milking crabs.
Yes, and they said that's the most expensive liquid. The horseshoe crab blood,
To be totally honest, I would tug a crab if it paid well.
I mean, you're talking like you never have, and we both know you have.
Oh no, I think everyone here knows we have. Anyway, that is halfway. It's time for a little bit of reefing news.
Reefing news! Reefing news! Motherfucking reefing news! With Ronald McDonald! Reefing news with motherfucking Ronald McDonald!
I'm looking forward to joining the Reefers Network to have some fun.
So, it's time for, you can see my headband slightly. Sorry about that. It's time for reefing news. So, we've not got a particularly large amount tonight, but we've got 2 or 3 little pieces of news. So the first one I wanted to talk about was a new light from Orfex, specifically aimed at the nanotank market. The only thing I'm a little bit confused about this is, so if it's for nanotanks, why are there so many options available? There are loads of different options, which...
What size options, you mean?
No. So they've got Blue Plus, Sky Blue, Reef Day Plus, UV/Violet, and then they've got one for refugiums, macroalgae and mangrove tanks, but then they've also got a freshwater planted light. That is a massive range of lights for nanos, don't you think?
It does seem a lot. Yeah.
But
that just looked like a random pile of LEDs in the corner. I just thought,
We'll find a way to use it. Yeah.
Rustle up a little light. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, although I have absolutely no knowledge of those lights here at all. Does anyone know anyone that runs Orfex?
Oh yeah, I know plenty of people run Orfex. But let me ask you question number 1. What company, what country of origin is Orfex from, in your mind?
I have absolutely no idea. I thought you were going to ask what the fuck is with the wig. But anyway,
the wig looks great.
Past that, so Taiwan.
Actually, many people in US here, they thought they were Germany.
Okay.
Which is not cool. They're actually based in Hong Kong.
Okay.
I was close.
Yeah. So yeah,
are they good lights? That says it all. That says it all.
You've answered it, Don. You've answered it.
I think the idea behind it is pretty good. Because that Orphix is a panel style light, they basically populate LED all throughout the whole panel. I think that is really good way to do it. That's what this medical plan people do it. Just populate the whole thing. And also they have their spectrum is pretty smooth. That means that sometimes in one lens there are 2 LED dial behind the lens with a slightly different spectrum. So in terms of Orphix light, the spectrum is pretty nice. Yeah. I think that they're great light when they work. Yeah.
Right.
I can see where we're going here, Dom.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's
no
what
light
I'm
from
trying
a
to
light
say
is
is that
definitely a
when they
drawback.
work well, they're beautiful light. They're great light.
Yeah.
And when you get used to the software, they're good light.
Okay, we've now gone from silence to good light. Good light. So
Yeah,
anyway,
when they're on.
under the condition.
next we have from Mr. Sprung is a little battery-powered air pump, which I'm definitely going to buy one of these.
Very
Wow.
handy.
Transporting corals up to Glasgow. That will be really helpful for me because I'm already maxed out. I've got one of those car jump starter things with the crocodile clips that you put onto your battery and it charges your battery. So I run a little heater off of that, but I can't add anything else. I'm maxed out in the amps, so I'll be getting one of these to just keep the water moving around.
Yeah, so lithium battery rechargeable. Yeah, nice.
It's quite
Oh,
smart.
that's good.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Two Little Fishies and pretty much everything Julian Sprung does. I think he's absolutely fantastic.
If you buy it today, it's like $20. If you get it after Friday, 4.5 million.
Wow.
We are not talking about that tonight.
Okay, right.
No way are we going down that rabbit hole. While we're on the subject of Two Little Fishies, Julian's also launched. So you'll all be familiar with the BRS videos of the negative space aquascapes, and then I can't remember. I think it was Than from Tidal Gardens. Then started getting involved in it, and he started talking about the Glue Masters. Super low viscosity, so it's basically like water that comes out, but then it solidifies like super glue. So he's developed a kit that you can buy, which has the really fine sand and the really watery glue, which is all guaranteed reef safe.
Like the spray fixer with it to make it go off instantly.
I don't think you need it with this super fine super glue. It just
I read that quick, that bottle out of the corner of my eye, and I thought it said Coral Scape Boner.
Well, I mean, I would buy a lot more if it gave
does
my
apply,
coral.
it makes your escape hard. I think I missed a trick on the naming myself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think Two Little Fish makes a lot of good products.
They do.
They do. And I'm still using the Reborn that for the calcium reactor media. That's the best media you can get.
That's actual old bits of coral, though, isn't it?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Makes so much sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So melting the coral to feed the coral, that makes sense.
Circle of life.
Yeah,
exactly. And cannibalism.
So
we've got very good distribution over here, have we? Two Little Fishies.
Well, I know J&K Aquatics down in, is it Somerset? I know they've got some of the products.
The Reborn stuff. Yeah, you can get it here.
Yeah. The CDX, is it? The carbon dioxide stripper for your reactors or skimmer intakes, things like that. They do their coral effects, the glue, things like that, So just before we wrap up the news, there was one little headline I caught, and then I realised, I put two and two together, and I realised this is actually why Tom isn't on tonight, because he's totally and utterly addicted to playing Fortnite. But turns out, so that's Tom. Just so you know, that's Tom Dong, just in case you didn't recognise him. So instead of going to the bathroom, because he doesn't want his XP to go down on his favourite computer game, he's been shitting into a traffic cone.
I mean, unusual choice, but
doesn't look comfortable. But, I mean, there's a lot of that cone not shown. There's a lot of that cone not shown.
There is.
What do you think? Anyway,
smiling.
Yeah. Maybe he should flip the cone upside down.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
more
would be more
comfortable.
comfortable, I think. Yeah.
it's taken Dong to mention to him. Now Tom will be flipping that right now. Anyway, that was Reefing News.
Reefing news! Reefing news! Motherfucking reefing news! With Ronald McDonald! Reefing news with motherfucking Ronald McDonald!
I'm looking forward to joining the Reefers Network to have some fun.
Thank you, everybody. That was Reefing News. So
Very good.
back to regular scheduled programming. Liam, do you have another question?
Let me grab my piece of paper.
Should have warned you, shouldn't I?
You're fine. Flow. If we want
Flow?
talking about flow a little bit, what type of flow is your favourite type of flow? Pumps, wave makers, closed loop. Go.
So, the type of flow I like is the simple one and the inexpensive one. That's a two category. One is simple, second, inexpensive. So, first of all, I do not think random flow exists. You cannot make a random flow because that computer technology, which all this pump is controlled by, cannot generate random number. That is the, I don't know what the AI these days, right? So what happened is that linear flow actually is very important. So in the ocean, when we look at a coral, so a coral will have a lot of water moving around it, but those water are not switching direction every minute or something like that. In a whole day, then only go one direction. That's a linear flow to carry out the waste and carry the food for the coral. So when you look into the reef tank, that's why I have one power head over there on that side, providing a linear flow throughout the tank. So basically, a big power head all the way from here to there and hit the glass and come back. And there's another power head over there is on a short pulse mode. So basically generate a standing wave. Why that's important is because in the ocean, assuming this is a coral, a large amount of water going through it, okay? In our tank, we cannot get that much of, that larger volume of water going through this coral linearly. So basically, if we have so much water going through it, the water will end up on the floor. So that's why the standing wave come into play. What happened is that what a standing wave is washing the coral up and down. We do not have enough motion like this, but we wash the coral this way. So that way, I normally like to set up the tank with one power head, strong big power head to push the water, make a big circle. Another big power head and a short pulse. So it basically can generate a standing wave. That is the simple solution for water flow for me. Another thing is that the pump has to be cheap. So that's why I like the J-Bow pump. So I don't know how, they're so inexpensive. For example, the J-Bow pump is that sometimes that I run them for 1 or 2 years. And if I'm too tired to clean it, I just grab it and toss in a trash can and grab a new one and put it on. It's so inexpensive they are. And they happen really to be reliable. Yeah. So and that's why I do not use like the fancy one, expensive one. So I think most of the pumps these days are pretty good, but I prefer the one that is reliable and inexpensive. So that is the equipment choice. And in terms of water flow, linear flow plus standing wave. That is all you take for
I've got another question from somebody in the comments here, Dong, but before I put it up on screen and read it out, do you have an opinion on Red Dragon pumps?
Fancy. That's my opinion. Oh, fancy pump. Yeah. I think that Red Dragon pump, if I travel back in time 10 to 15 years. Of course, if I did that, I cannot afford one. I can look at one and drooling all over it and look at one. But today, if I spend my money on something that expensive and do exactly the same function, so I think my wife's gonna come down and knock me on my head. Or if she didn't do that, I will use the piece of crap refractometer and hit my head. What is the point? That's the point. Is that what is the freaking point? Right?
Oh, love
So
it.
if you can spend $100 to buy something as reliable and as functional, why do you spend 1,000? And also that one thing is that a guy used to tell me, oh, it's all about the brand. Yeah, okay. So I know that if you carry a handbag like a Louis Vuitton, a Gucci, go out the street, yeah, people will recognize that. And if you go onto the train station and tell people, hey, people, I got a Red Dragon pump. And the people say, what the heck is that? So there is really no luxury brand or luxury thing in this hobby. Seriously, there is no prestigious brand, unfortunately.
Love it.
Yeah, but unless that the Louis Vuitton come up with a pump, I buy one. I show people, oh, I spent freaking $4,000 for this tiny little Louis Vuitton pump. And then people say, oh, you crazy motherfucker.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that is the thing. So people tell me, and they should have a Radion. Oh, they told me I should have a Radion instead of rebreather to lighting my tank to show the prestige. I said, what's prestige? I think that the rebreather exists as Evergrow well before Radion even come on the market. Right?
I think I just have to take the crown for the best question of the night. I'm taking it.
Well done, Rob.
Oh my goodness.
Mum's now crying, but yeah.
Yeah. Would
What
you feel
returns are you using then, Don, on your systems? What return pumps are you using?
Pardon?
What return pumps are you using?
No surprise, J-Ball.
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Just
And
checking.
I have one of them sitting there. I purchased 10 years ago. I install it. I haven't even touched it for 10 years. And the freaking
Wow.
thing is still pumping perfectly fine. So, but there is one caveat for J-Ball. There is knockoff and gray market J-Ball pump. That's where people are having a lot of trouble with. So yeah, they're fake J-Ball pump, unfortunately. Yeah. Just like the fake McDonald's hamburger.
What are you trying to say, Dom?
Oh, I'm trying to say that if you want to buy a J-Ball pump, buy from a reputable dealer that actually import official, actual J-Ball pump. For
Is that
example,
quite?
yeah.
Sorry, is that quite widely known that there's a problem with fake J-Balls?
Actually, people have problems, but they do not realize that those are fake ones.
I mean, there's
knockoff
fake everything, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
3 of these mics and had to send 2 of them back because the first 2 were fake.
Yeah, you could
Really?
be. And
Yeah.
you could be have a different QC. And maybe the pump is meant for the domestic consumption in China, but not meant to go to US. I do find one interesting thing about J-Ball pump, that the difference between a fake one, or we should say gray market one, versus official one. This is a J-Ball controller. So it's a wireless controller, and the one that actually we can purchase in US, which imported officially, but don't quote me on that. That's what I actually that's my observation. The wireless frequency does not interfere with your 2.4 gigahertz router. Once I got one of the J-Ball pump from AliExpress, that kind of thing. When I turn on this controller, my wireless router, the speed dropped to 50%.
Oh, hacked it
yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, because
Funny
it
you
interfered
say
with the
that.
fan.
Oh, Liam, go on.
Well, I had 8 of the Jabeo pumps off of the AliExpress, and my Wi-Fi went to shit completely. Spoke to my internet provider, and they went, "Oh, you've got too many 2.4 gigahertz issues."
Running through
Top
it.
provider, and it was fine. But it's funny you say that.
Yeah. You only take one that actually conflict with the band with your router to do it. So
Yes,
at
8
the
really
beginning,
fucked it up then. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's going to destroy your internet.
Yeah.
What they do with that bandwidth?
I've never seen negative numbers before. Sorry, Liam. Do you have any other questions for Dong?
I just missed your.
Yeah. What's the most important thing you think about keeping an SPS coral? Like speaking to somebody coming into a new hobbyist, or they've just been LPS. What's the most important thing to look at and keep on top of regarding SPS?
Okay, so yes, for people who just get into SPS, I will tell them one important thing: change your water, change your goddamn water. So that is the most important thing.
That's easy for you. It just comes out your tap.
Huh? so water change is actually very important, because that, especially for new hobbyists that get into the SPS, first of all, make sure your water is actually what you think the salinity is, and then do maybe like 10 to 20% water change a week, and look at the top 3 elements, like the calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. Then change your water. And then another thing to do: sit back, relax, and do not watch too many social media thing, and look at your coral and change your water. Watch the top 3 parameter, and that's it. And then all this coral, yeah.
Are you a sort of salt? Do you have a particular brand of salt you stick with, or you're not bothered what the salt mixes? Or
wow, that is a hot topic about the salt brand. So I'm gonna piss off some people.
Yes.
So
I'd rather eat
here's
the
the thing.
thief than
Let me tell you that this system is Recrystal. And you can see a corner over there. That system is Tropic Marine Pro. Okay. Yeah. So I did this experiment like a long time ago, but I restarted this again. I purged this whole system over there using Tropic Marine Pro and keep it running for a while. I can tell you, it doesn't give you a blip of difference. But there is
financially
one big difference: my wallet.
Yeah,
my wallet is a lot lighter. But that's why I show people. Oh, do you see any difference? Hell no. They all look the same. All the code looks great. I said, that's Tropic Marine Pro. That's Recrystal. That's $129 per bucket. This is $69 per bucket. Then people say, oh, okay, so where do you order your Recrystal?
So do you not notice difference when you're mixing it up? Because most people just say it's the cleanliness of the bin after like 6 months.
That is a different, that's an interesting thing about the bin. The brown stuff that you see after mixing the solution is not actually coming out from the salt. So what happened is that the brown stuff are the bacterial growths on the bin. What happened is that after you treat your water, either using RODI or vitamin C or whatever gizmo you bought from the local fish store, and they kill basically remove the chlorine or chloramine, and now that bucket of water is a free game for all the bacteria. And now there's a difference between the Tropic Marine salt, at least my understanding, versus Recrystal, is that Recrystal actually has more anti-caking reagent. The little silica powder that mix into the solid so that it won't come together. So those little anti-caking reagent, they love to hug plastic. The plastic surface for your drum, they just get on it, they latch on it, and you create a really good bed for bacteria to latch on. because now it have all this anti-caking reagent coating the plastic. So then you will see a lot more bacterial growth in a bucket of Reefing than a tropic marin. And tropic marin is not immune to those kind of brown stuff. It's just less. I can grab my bucket right now that, well, unfortunately is filling with water right now. I can show you the brown stuff that on the wall of the bucket I used to mix Tropic Marin Pro. It's significantly less.
Are you still using Tropic Marin Pro in that system and Reef Crystals in that system?
Yeah.
So why are you running the two salts?
Because I want to show people there are no difference.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So I want to put it in practice to show people. Yeah, those two salts does not give you any difference. It happened to be Reefing is the cheapest salt in US, and Tropic Marin Pro is the most expensive salt in US. But one thing I do appreciate about Tropic Marin Pro is that they use the anhydrous salt. That means the package is smaller at the same amount, like a 160 gallon or 200 gallon box. The Tropic Marin box is significantly smaller, while the weight is also lighter too. So for old man like me, 10 pounds of weight saving is good. But other than that, of course, that Tropic Marin Pro, they mix much faster because the anhydrous salt, that's what I think, than the Reefing. So, but in reality, when you pour them in, I don't see any difference there. I basically go through a lot of different kind of brands of salt, and the reason I settle with Reefing because it's availability in US, and they're available anywhere. Then so this system is significantly bigger than that system, though. So
it does seem a very popular salt because most coral farms in the US tend to use it, don't they? Yeah.
Okay, we've got a question from Leonardo's Reef over in Holland.
And I always enjoy listening to your podcast, a lot of inspiration and insights. And based on those, I have a question for you. What do you think about feeding Acropora? And then I mean broadcast feeding or maybe even target feeding compared to keeping a little bit higher nutrients. It will be very interesting to hear your insights, and hope to talk to you sometime.
Perfect. All right. So I used to target feed, but then I stopped. I just broadcast feeding because that we are in a closed system. Well, the things that go in there disappear and come back. And also the coral can only grab a few pieces of food every time the water passes through anyway. When you target feed them, you basically, most of the food still fly away. Well, there's no reason to target feed them. You just pour them right in and let them just flying around in the tank. So they will recirculate it over and over so that allow the coral to capture the food over and over again. So for SPS, I do not believe target feeding can be beneficial. So I always do broadcast feeding. But feeding definitely is important for SPS, and feeding with the correct, the right amount and the right type of coral food is important as well. So I try most everything on the market that I can put my hand on coral food. So is that okay to badmouth somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Compulsory, actually.
Yeah. The reason I want to say that is because this piece of shit really caused me a lot of trouble. Okay.
We did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
This thing, well, it caused cyano. At the beginning, that I thought it was a fluke or incident or something like that. No. I dose this, cyano comes out. Then I stop doing that. I do a lot of things, change lots of water to clean up the cyano. Then I try it again. Cyano comes back. Third time, fourth time. So I'm very convinced whatever bacteria in there is actually promoting cyano bacteria to grow.
Is that the Benepets?
Yeah. So that's what it is. So and also I talked to other people too.
Did your corals look good though?
And this is my, of course, that why I don't like somebody. I do have something that I like. This is actually the Neolight Spectrum Reef Cell. Oh, by the way, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I do not take any sponsorship. So that's why I can open my mouth and start to bullshitting. So, and still have some sort of credibility there. So I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't take any demo products. Every single piece of things I pay with my money. I buy it retail. Okay, then I can have the right to say things about them. I like this reef cell from made by Neolight Spectrum. The reason for that is that the particle size of these things is really, really small. That's good for SPS. So when I mix this piece of shit, and then you give me some kind of suspension. When I mix this piece of thing, pretty good, you give me like a milk kind of the consistency. Yeah, it's very good. And then I just broadcast feed to my tank. And here's the interesting thing. I test alkalinity and calcium and every day. And so I also test when I try out this different coral food is that I dose them, but not dosing anything else. I don't even want to feed the fish when I'm doing the test. I dose them and test the alkalinity and calcium consumption the next day to see if there's additional difference in versus the regular consumption there. I do find that this one, I feed the reef cell, and I do see the alkalinity and calcium consumption is a little bit more the next day after I feed this. The reason that I'm pretty confident about that, actually the coral is doing better, actually eating this thing and grow a little bit better, because that this is a very large system. Even though you only see a tank here, but then you link together with a large system. So that will show, for example, if you see a 0.5 DKH increase on a smaller tank, well, but if you look at a giant system with a 0.5 DKH increase, consumption increase after overnight, yeah, you're definitely doing something. So at such a large system. So the idea about coral feeding, yes, coral SPS definitely can benefit from feeding. And broadcast feeding definitely is my way to do it, because the target feeding I don't think is necessary. Picking the small, tiny amount of the small particle size is important for SPS, because that they got to fit in their mouth. And also that mystery product with mystery bacteria, no, not really very beneficial. I want to know everything before I put them in the mouth of my coral. So I hope that I can answer the question. And also another thing, to feeding SPS, there's another interesting thing you can do is salmon and shrimp juice. Yeah, because their juice are liquid. You can do that. So you get a piece of raw salmon, you get a piece of raw table shrimp, raw, and defrost it and wash it clean under the sink. And then you put it in your blender. Take your wife's favorite blender. Okay, make sure you do that. Okay, and put that piece of the raw salmon and raw shrimp in there, not adding any water, and blend them into pulp, into mush. And then you use a coffee filter, and also make sure to use your wife's favorite coffee filter. And after you use it, put it back. Make sure you do that. And use your coffee filter and then filter out the juice. You're actually creating a homemade, inexpensive, very potent coral food. And the leftover solid can fit to the fish. The fish can benefit from that operation as well.
A very big feeding response from salmon and oily fish. Yeah.
The oils, I guess.
Yeah. There's a bloke I used to know used to have a shark, and when he used to feed salmon, he'd get a really good feeding response.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, salmon actually is very good. The funny thing is that at least in US, if you look at the frozen food label, you do not see salmon on it, and because salmons are expensive. And the frozen food, the commercial frozen food, they want to be as cheap as possible. They have the fish categories at ocean white fish, and that's basically it. but salmon definitely has high in omega-3 fatty acid. It's very healthy. Yeah, so then that's what the salmon and shrimp juice that you can use, but use it very carefully. Don't use too much because they're ultra potent. And then after you use the blender, make sure you do not wash it, and just tuck it back to the pantry and walk away. Pretend that nothing happened. And then until you hear your wife.
Just denial knowledge. Yeah.
Dong just ruining marriages across the
That's
world.
it, yeah. You start with
there's a coral
clownfish.
home wrecker. I just tried to pop that.
So do you only use that fresh?
question
You don't refrigerate that or anything. You don't keep it. You make it, you use it, and that's it. You're done, yeah?
Oh, actually, you can freeze it.
You can freeze it, can you?
Yeah, you can freeze it and sort it out and use it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't put it on the countertop. That's really gross.
Put it by the bedside.
Yeah, or maybe put it in a salad bottle, the salad dressing.
So we've got another question sent in here, which should be a good one. What pests, including nuisance algae, have you been the worst to deal with, and how did you overcome them?
You mean pests and algae?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think a pest is that if somebody tell you that anything is pest free, no, it's not pest free. It's all about prevention, and also that you deal with it. So, one thing in order to control pests, as well as make the coral farm a little bit profitable, I stopped buying wild coral for several years now. Everything is aquaculture here, and I only get aquaculture coral from trusted sources, the people that in the hobby for a long time, and they have a clean tank. And then after I get the coral, dip and dip and dip and dip and dip. Another thing to control SPS pest, so I basically dip all the coral periodically. So if you see the tank here, okay, all these coral actually can be lifted up independently, and I dip them, I put them back, exactly the same location. None of them is glued down. So what happened is that what I do with them is that, assuming this is a coral, I glue a stick of dead coral skeleton, and then I bring my favorite surgical scissors. I go to the Monty cap. I poke a hole on the Monty cap. I drill a hole on the Monty cap, and then put this Acropora with the stick at the bottom on the hole on the Monty cap. That's how these coral are sitting there. They're all sitting on some kind of hole. You see these all the Monty cap? They're just hold the Acropora together. So that allows me, I can take out independent colony, make some frags, and dip it, and put them back into the tank. So
growing your frag rack.
Yeah, it's a live frag rack. That's what it is. So my daily life is water change, dipping, just going through the different tank.
What do you use dip-wise?
Potassium chloride right now. So because that thing really works well. And the third cheap, wait, it is potassium chloride? Yeah, potassium chloride. Yeah, this is the one.
Is yours over 100% pure? Mine's 100.3% pure.
Oh, that must be from Mars.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think this guy only said, "Oh my God, they're only 98% pure."
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, Dong, you need to get better supplements.
I need the 99.99%.
Yeah, just J-Bo chemicals.
So the potassium chloride dip actually at the beginning, well, I thought potassium chloride dip is a hoax, some kind of old wife tale, but it actually works. And then I dig through the literature to find out what potassium chloride is used for. It turns out they use potassium chloride in salmon farming to get rid of the pests. Wow. And also I look up literature to find out how the acro-eating flatworm, how do they respond to potassium chloride? It's not only the salinity difference. It's because that on the acro-eating flatworm, on the surface, they have a potassium channel.
Yeah,
so when the potassium channel is overwhelmed, basically they give them a seizure. It's just all messed up, and then
That's
fall
what they
off.
look like. They're spasming, don't they?
Yeah. So this is real. So I like to use this, and it's very mild and easy. And after potassium chloride, it's iodine dip. So
Dong, how many random pieces of shit do you have on your desk? You've brought up 60 items so far.
Yeah, just all in an arm's reach.
Yeah,
everything's right there.
Yeah.
Like Narnia to Lee's cupboard.
Yeah, I mean, if I lean out,
also have a calcium chloride.
You got a plumber's moustache.
I do.
Also, 2 little fish, iron.
That's
and
accuracy.
manganese.
So I think we need to do another stream next week and call "What's on Dong's Desk."
Oh yes,
that'd be good.
Yeah, one thing you won't be able to guess: a dosing pump.
Oh,
who's that made by?
Oh, that's a coral box dosing pump. Actually made by Rebreather. Well, right now it's called the Rebreather's dosing pump. I like it because that it's made out of solid aluminum. And one time, one of the customers dropped this piece of thing in their tank, in their sump, and take it out, just dry it, and it still works. Well, I like it. So yeah, and this is my demo to show people what they look like when I'm selling the dosing pump. So this is what it look like. I'm not gonna open up the box for you, but you can see this guy. There's a shiny little thing. So yeah, and
So
also
we've had a question asked more than once. So let me just throw it up here from John Wright. Can I ask Dong about titanium heaters leaking aluminium?
No, it doesn't. Titanium heater does not leak aluminium. It leaks something far worse than that. Yeah, because that all the titanium heater, unless they are labeled as pure titanium heater, which could cost you arm and legs, all of them just titanium alloys. But titanium heater has one drawback. If the seal broken, you cannot see it. If you have a glass heater, if the seal is broken, you take the poor heater against the window, you can see the droplets of water inside, and then you know that your piece of heater is toasted. You go to the trash can. But a piece of titanium heater, you don't know it's broken or the seal is leaking until you see your coral and fish drop dead. So is that bad? It is. So basically, titanium heater can leak all sort of nasty stuff. And for matter of fact, I actually accidentally saw a piece of memo from aquarium equipment manufacturer in China. It lists titanium heater actually not suitable for saltwater use. That's what they said on it. Yeah, but it's just an internal memo. And when the stupid Americans, they want to buy titanium heater, no problem, sell them that. Perfectly fine. So, well, I'm American too, so I'm as stupid as I am. So I found out that I do not want to pay the price of titanium heater. So I stick with my glass heater. So I know glass.
Which glass heaters do you recommend, Dong?
Oh, there are so many of them. As long as they're made out of quartz glass, and not the shatterproof quartz glass, and that should be fine. So I used to use a lot of Eheim heater. They're pretty good. Until that, I hit several bad ones out of the box. And I'm right now using a brand called Higer that I found on Amazon. It seems to be quite reliable, and I use their glass version of the heater instead of the titanium version of the heater. So it just gives me more peace of mind that it won't leak any metal in my water. And for matter of fact, so regardless what those titanium heater leak out, I do encounter multiple occasions that people, after they remove their heater, titanium heater replaced with glass heater, and the mystery problem just disappear. So it's just by doing that and solve that problem. So I never drill down to what exactly that those heaters are leaking, because that it might be a different cases by each heater. Maybe some of them the seal is broken, some of them is leaking electricity, maybe. I don't know. But simply by replacing them with glass heater, it solves the problem. So that I like to look at things in a whole approach. So if something solves the problem, yeah, that works.
Liam, do you have any more questions? Look,
I
back
do.
on the spot. How many
Yeah.
people are now running to rip their titanium heaters out their tanks?
Yeah.
Seriously, I could just feel
No,
an air
definitely.
starting. Sorry, Liam, on you go.
Yeah, a while ago you were talking about one of your previous adventures. I'm sure you said about bone grafting with corals.
Yeah.
Confused the hell out of me of how you can make an arm out of an acropora.
Actually, I don't say it's acropora. It's garnipora.
I've
That's
no
about-
idea. Random guess. I just wondered how you went about doing it, and did you grow them in a mold, for example, or?
Because like bone grafting using coral skeleton is known. There's a Israel company actually commercialized that as well. That is back a long time ago, like in a 2012 or 13, something like that. And one of the problem at that time is the coral grows so slowly, and the coral they are normally used for bone grafting, the coral skeleton are from the wild. So my idea is that is to aquaculture them, and by so with that, with the higher growth rate from aquaculture and also ethically not limited by any CITE license, that can be a potential market over there. But then comes a very pesky thing on the market called the 3D printing. That just ruined the business, you know. So that's we're no longer pursuing that at all.
So did you used to just like grow a chunk of coral and then you cut it to the shape you need, or
Yep.
I've no idea how it works.
That depend on the density of the coral skeleton, and the strength of the coral skeleton and the porousness of the coral skeleton to match whatever the need for the bone replacement.
Oh, okay.
That yeah. So there's and also that at that time there's an idea talking about the naturally there's so many channels in the porous coral skeleton, which can potentially allow a nerve vessel to go through instead of piece of calcium carbonate block. So that's another idea. And also another idea is about to modulate the growing environment for the coral, and we hope to potentially modulate the composition of the skeleton. For example, that if certain element need to be incorporated into the skeleton, then is a potential way to do it. Is, for example, if you want vanadium, so we want to dose vanadium, or just joking, but a similar idea, just with those certain elements to enrich the element in the coral skeleton if those elements are desirable for a certain purpose. That's the idea.
Interesting.
Thank you.
But the whole idea is all about aquaculture, to make the coral sustainable, harvestable without touching the natural reef, without the CITE license, that kind of thing. It's good for the environment.
Okay, we've got one more video you sent in, Dong, so I'm just going to play that now.
Oh, that's one of my frag tank.
It's a very short video. I didn't realize it was so short.
Oh, it's a very short. And then because I see that a smudge on the glass, then I forget to clean out, so I stop it. Yeah. So that's just one of the frag tank with a bunch of the random corals sitting in there. They just keep, well, yeah, there's some of the rainbow hammer at the background, the yellow one, and those things growing like a wildfire in my tank.
How many systems are you running there, Dong?
Totally 3 major systems.
And are they all tied in, or are they all
yeah, there's, let's see, 1, 2, this 4 is tied down at one system, and there's 3 tied down on that system and 3 over there. So the totally 10 tanks, right? 4, 3, 3, yeah. 10 10 aquariums in 3 clusters.
And this is in your home.
Yeah, in my basement.
No
Yes.
wonder. I mean, so not only do you have all of this in your basement, you fuck with your wife's blender, and what else? There was something else she said. You just don't clean it.
The coffee blend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vacuum
Filter.
cleaner is a good candidate. But the thing is that I'm the one who vacuum.
That's fair. Got a big basement.
So we've got another
it is a
question
big
here.
basement, yeah.
Yeah, it is a big basement. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't have
I've
basements here.
got to ask you, Don. So, so over here, a basement is like a subterranean room. Yeah.
Oh
You
no,
got-
it's not. The
you got
basement
a big
actually
window.
is walk out. You can see that. Yeah, it's a door.
Right.
So the basement actually above ground, but we just call it basement. It's just unfinished lower level.
Right.
Okay. So how many? So do you have 3 levels to your house, but they're all above ground?
Yeah, I have 3 levels of the house. Yeah. Yep.
So where's your front entrance then? The level above you?
1 level up for the front entrance, and this entrance is for the coral farm, so people that does not have to go through my living space to come here to see the coral.
Yeah.
So they have their independent walkway, and over there entrance, so it won't disturb my, because I have a golden retriever which trained as a guard dog. Yes.
Golden retriever.
A golden retriever, and behave like a guard dog.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that and she occupied the top 2 level, and that's her domain. Yeah, so that nobody can go up there.
That's the first time I've realized, because they say that golden retrievers are one of the most dangerous breeds, but it's because there's so many of them. Well, no wonder if Dong's got one doing that.
Yeah. So
Friend
that
it, Psycho dog.
she barked on all the UPS, FedEx, and Amazon delivery. Yeah. She was at the 2nd floor, the top floor, sitting there and looking down on the driveway, and then she will bark when the car approach. I think that, but one thing she didn't bark on is the mailman, because the mailman always carry dog treats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was bought.
That's not what I was thinking.
Yeah,
but
she was bought by mailman.
Dear. Anyway, moving on. We'll get another question here for you, Dong.
Yep.
What has been your biggest challenge in the reef scene to date, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, the biggest challenge is to tell people what they saw on the photo online are mostly Photoshop and fake. That is my everyday challenge. And I will get a text message. Do you have this? I look at the photo. I said, what the hell? And that thing doesn't even exist. And I go, oh, no. It exists. I put it out on Facebook. You must be there. I said, no, I don't have that because I do not have Photoshop. That is a major headache. Is that people are coming, oh, do you have this? Do you have that? Oh, look at this. And why your coral doesn't look like that? So this coral has 2 million colors on it, and the background is all totally dark blue. And why you don't have your dark blue?
2 million colors.
Yeah, I said, well, I cannot Photoshop my tank. I can Photoshop your eye. I can put a glass on you. But I really cannot do anything to that. You come here and look at it.
A glass in your neck.
Yeah, that is really frustrating. So,
Right.
and second thing is the name of coral. One coral have 2 million names.
Yes.
Yeah.
How can you even tell what the heck? And all the name is really terrible too. Some of the name is so not PG rated. And some people say, oh, looking for this. I already have that. I said, well, you already have that coral because it's a single coral with the same coral with 2 different names. And the problem is that if you do not Photoshop your coral, if you do not use blue LED only and use orange filter to take your photo, people just don't buy your coral. They are not eye-catching. So that's why I don't do online sales. I can't.
Okay.
I cannot. So most of people actually come here and look at the coral in person, so they see what they get. And I do post photo on a club's website, but my photo was taken under daylight, so the background is natural, and the coral is. I try to take the photo as what I see them. The color is. I only post in a local website, and so that people do understand what they're actually looking at, because they get a chance to look at, come here look at. But for a new hobbyist, is always send me this photo. Do you have that? I said no, I do not own Photoshop. Do you have that? Yeah. No, I do not own Photoshop. That's what it is. I don't even have orange lens. But seriously, I don't even have one. But when I take for some photo, there's some app can counterbalance the blue tint a little bit, and that's basically it. So when I take all the video, the light is exactly what they are. I do not turn on the blue LED only. When I take photo to take video, the light is exactly what it is. So so basically, what you see is what you get right here. I do not do the blue photo. The blue photo really drives me crazy. So especially with people so disappointed. Oh, you don't have that home destroyer, or stars destroyer, that kind of thing with the 2 million color on it. No, I don't. Sorry. And by the way, do you have the vivid confettis, whatever? Yeah, I do not have the one on your photo, but I have this guy. And they look at it. That's what real thing. That's what it is. And by the way, do you want me to Photoshop for you? Oh, there's even one time that one brilliant idea was presented to me. What I should do, I should have a camera mounting on a track across the tank. And then the camera will send wireless video to a big monitor on the wall. And then there will be photo processing software on the camera. I can turn on the blue light. The photo will take the filter photo and project it on the wall monitor. So if anybody want to buy a coral, instead of looking at the coral itself, they should look at the wall. Wow. Yeah, blue light. Yeah. Wow, look at how bright it is. And then buy the coral that way. Yeah, that is seriously is mind-boggling. So,
so quite a few people have made a similar comment. I'm just gonna have to say it. So we run a little Discord community called Reefing AF, and we do tank tours, and we do meetups, and we record our chats, and then we upload them onto YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
When we finish tonight, hang around. We'll stay in the green room, and if you fancy joining, everybody would like you to do a tour of your basement for us.
Tonight it probably is not a good idea.
Oh, not tonight. Not tonight. No.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, we can choose a date and we can chat it out. And just, I think everyone would love to see what you've got.
More than happy to. More than happy to. Yeah.
You heard it here, people, and I'm going to hold it to them.
Yeah, I actually have. I many years ago, when my younger daughter was in Girl Scout, and the whole Girl Scout team was here looking at coral and looking at fish. But then they were devastated by one thing. What they found out, the two clownfish are not Nemo and Marlin. Nemo and Marlin are not father and son relationship. They're husband and wife. And all the girls said, "Oh no."
It's 2025, people.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Are you okay for time, Dong? Are you okay to go on just a little bit longer?
Oh, no problem. No problem.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely sure.
I'm glad you said that because you were late.
Yeah,
so, you know.
Just invoice Tom for the extra money.
Yeah.
So here's a good question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most common mistake you think everyday hobbyists make with their reef aquariums?
The most common mistake is watch too many social media. So, and the thing is that people have to learn to tell the the fake stuff versus the real stuff. Actually, well, the lot of social media is great, but you got to tell. So when you take advice from people, especially you need to look at their tank to see if there's anything to show for. So there's too many keyboard warrior there. They're just basically repeating what they heard. That's one thing. Oh, can you repeat the question again? sorry, I apologize a little bit.
No, it's just what's the most common mistake you think everybody makes?
Okay, the most common mistake is that jumping into fancy equipment too early. Before that, I have seen people come in as a new hobbyist and come to try to look at some coral and say, "Oh, I already have the Apex. I already have the Trident." So the thing is that learn the very basic first before to try to jump into some fancy stuff. And also, the one guy said, "I'm ready to go on Trident method, even though the tank is not cycle." I said, "No. You really want to take a small step at a time to learn from gradually learning step by step. Otherwise, the equipment does not help you that much for this hobby, seriously. For matter of fact, when you look at the kind of equipment we have, and when we talk about a big circle, for matter of fact that so is our reefing experience improve dramatically? Is our reefing success improve dramatically with all this equipment? Probably not. I've seen so many beautiful SPS tank. They're very simple. Actually, that's a success. Let me give you one example. A guy come to me, and he want to get into the SPS. He already have established reef tank. He have every single gizmo. He has Trident. He has full Apex. He has a roller mat, and he has God knows whatever thing that he have everything that local fish store want to sell him. Then he's struggling. Oh, have this problem and that problem, and oh, he's chasing pH. Now he has another entirely different problem. He followed this method, that method. The problem after problem, he's scratching his head. He gets so sick and tired of it. So he came here. I told him, every week, remove one piece of equipment you have, but just leave the doser alone, and then leave your protein skimmer alone. Then just take off one equipment per week. Guess what? Right now he has a very successful SPS dominated tank. Oh, so he no longer looking at the Trident. He sold the Trident. So he just once a day and test the alkalinity and do it simply and use a solidifier test kit, that kind of thing. Do water change and clean the skimmer, and that's it. So basically, he told me is that every piece of equipment he removed, and then he become more successful. So I think for anybody, the most important thing is that take the baby step. And think about it, water change is the best friend when you're just starting the hobby. Do your water change and get a good lighting, a good skimmer. Not expensive. Good does not equal to expensive. Just somebody that being used by most of people and is economic and is reliable. Take the baby step, one baby step at a time, and do your water change, and then learn all the basics. Then you can get on the more fancy stuff. And forget about all these methods. All serious, all the methods, all the aquarium methods are icing on the cake. If your cake is not even there, you have nowhere to put your icing. So that is how I look at it.
That's true.
Good way of putting it. Yeah.
We've got another question from John Wright here. He's asking, do you not like softies and LPS, Dong?
Oh, I love them. There's a whole dedicated system for them. Yeah.
We'll see them on the tour.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
The reason I have those, actually all those are trade-ins.
Oh, wow.
People trade in their coral but I have a very strict criteria to take coral for trade-in. That coral has to be aquaculture. I do not take any marine culture on wild colony or wild frog for trade-in. Not chop shop, either LPS, the hammer and frog spawn, torch. I have a lot of those. And those things, every single one is aquaculture from people that I know who runs a successful tank. So that's why I end up with quite a bit of LPS, and they all trade-ins. And then those LPS will go to the new home. So basically, I also just like a hub for people, aquaculture coral only. And no matter what, I dip the crap out of them to make sure that to try to reduce the risk of pests. So I have a lot of LPS and softie. I also have some quite strange softie too. Have you ever seen a blue Kenya tree with a golden crown?
No.
Is that photoshopped?
Yeah, I have one of those.
No.
I think some of these tree corals can be absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I have the fluorescent green, the green tree, for almost like 20 years, something like that. Yeah, so I have quite a bit. I like leather and LPS for the movement, but I think that the SPS is more my passion, yes. So that's why I sell. Yeah, I sell lots of fracs for SPS, but when I sell LPS, the whole colony goes.
Right.
So we've got someone in the comments actually asking a little bit of advice, but obviously without seeing it, I don't know how much you'll be able to help. But first of all, he's got a lot of respect for you. And can I ask, one of my acros is STNing. Is there any way I can stop it from receding? Any reasons why that particular piece is STNing, but the rest are doing great?
Okay, that is actually frequently asked question. So I encounter quite a bit of that. Question number one, is that piece an aquaculture coral or actually just a mariculture or wild coral? That's a very important thing. The STN slowly receding, it could be just the coral cannot adjust to the captive environment that was provided. So for a lot of mariculture coral, SPS, and you will see that. So that the slowly receding, there could be the bacterial infection. That's one common thing happen. And another thing is that many of the coral actually does not have the resistance for certain bacteria that is not native to their geographic location. And our tank is a very strange thing. We basically have coral coming from all over the world, the different location, that they will never see each other in the wild, but stuck together right next to each other. So when a coral, if I'm talking about the wild coral or mariculture coral, when they were collected, they're carrying their own unique bacterial culture on them. So that means that if that piece of coral is STNing, and if it is a wild or mariculture coral, probably, well, just cut off the bottom part and give them an iodine dip. Basically, you just clean off as much bacteria off the surface as much possible, and let the bacteria recolonize, and let the coral manage that. So because especially for Acropora, from scientific study, it's shown that Acropora be able to manipulate the bacterial family on its skin to its benefit. So also that means that all these Acropora, they all carry their own friends and families or bacteria. So you could very well, that piece does not get used to the new environment. But if that piece of coral is aquaculture, and it has been around for a long time, and you happen to be a Monty, a branching Monty or a bird's nest, and it could be the natural way that that's what happened. For example, a bird's nest coral, over time, the bottom actually recede and the crown continue to grow. That is how they naturally grow. And some of the acro has been a hobby for a long time, exhibit the same thing. Is that the flesh at the bottom will recede, and then the top still continue to grow, especially if that piece was fracked many years ago. So STN could be a bacterial infection, or it could be how the coral is naturally growing. That's how the coral build the Great Barrier Reef. because the on top is alive, but they deposit the dead skeleton down there throughout a long time. And since this hobby has been around for a long time now, and we start to see some of the old school coral start to showing the receding from the bottom, and then continue to grow on top, especially for some frag that was cut long time ago. That can be normal. So I won't worry too much about it if it's aquaculture coral, and if the coral is still putting out new growth tip, and just let it be. So that's how I look at it in this case. But if the coral goes to RTN, that's an entirely different story. If overnight is if the flesh is peeling off in front of your eye, and that's an entirely different story. So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, sound advice. Sound advice.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of the time, and
Yeah.
I think we could get you on 20 times and still have something to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. just what's on his desk.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What's on Long's desk?
Yeah. Oh, guess what? On my desk there's a J-pop pump.
It's all just right there, though. It's all just right there.
Yeah.
I've got bow ties, wigs, and Mexican mustaches.
Oh, I want to show you something very unique too.
Oh,
It can be clean.
Brilliant.
Oh, by the way, I do not use this. This is just happened to be somebody gave it to me now. So I usually use it for back then, but I no longer use this. It just somebody gave it to me. I just put it on my desk. If somebody need it, they can have it.
Okay.
I used it not long ago to help with an infection on some Goniopora I had,
Mhm.
and it did stop it, but then it started up a couple of months again, and so whatever it was, it helped, but
Mhm.
didn't completely eradicate it. So
Mm.
I think it's got its place, but if I knew exactly what the active ingredient was, I would maybe try and source that on its own rather than buying that particular brand.
Mhm.
Mifuricin or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
A big long word. Anyway, would you like to come back on sometime, Dong?
Oh yeah, we would love to.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Music to my ears. So what I'll do is I'll get this wrapped up tonight. I want to thank you so much for being on. It's been absolutely amazing. I think everybody in the comments would agree with me. You've been one of the best guests we've ever had.
Thank you. Thank you.
I won't go through the list and say who you're better than. That might get a little rude.
Yeah, take a long time as well.
It would. It'd be a long list. So yeah, I just want to say before we finish up that we have a live stream this Sunday, but it's not going to be at the usual 10 a.m. It's going to be 1 p.m. to allow the time difference across to America. And we've got Kenny Lynn from Pieces of the Ocean on. So Tom, Drippy, and Steve Wheelie Bin himself are going to be on this Sunday afternoon. So please try and remember, everybody, it is not the usual 10 a.m. Anyway, thank you so much, Liam. Thank you so much, Rob. Extra
Pleasure.
special thanks to you, Dong. If you hang around, just have a quick word before we finish up. And thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the Friday, and we'll see you on Sunday morning.
Bye.
Thank you very much.